the bank, where the whole ethos is about not just looking at economic growth, but also a very, very hardwired focus on the environment. And with that, how mindful are you towards your action becomes extremely important, and that's the couple role that I have. Part of the bottom line, but the triple bottom line, which is the profit, the contribution towards environment and society. So we have been driving. We cannot just look at doing business, and therefore, what has really come about is while we have a very integrated kind of a business strategy. How do we look at therefore women? I'm coming to the topic of relevances today. How does a financial institution then look at women and empowerment of women or building capacities of women in a very differentiated manner? And if I may, how do you do it? How do you? So if I mean, if you look at Myers and Briggs type personality type, there are 16 types of personalities which exist and which actually all contribute to a success of an initiative, of an organization, so on and so forth. So we believe that the right mix, men and women, and the thinking, the differentiated approach that women bring, the multitasking, the multidimensional approach that women bring is very important to the success. And we really look at harnessing that and we look at nurturing that. So if you look at a woman's life cycle, I mean it's very different from a man, right? There is marriage, there is childbearing. How do you actually create environment, a nurturing environment at work for the woman to be able to go through the life cycle? So it's very easy to say, oh, let's look at the diversity ratio. In India, it's 27%. Best of the corporates have 18% of diversity ratios. But how do you actually contribute to taking that ratio up by nurturing the women in this life cycle is very important. And there I believe men play a very important role. So this is on initiatives that we work with within the women in the bank. So of course, besides compliance, there is we have this opportunity for women where they work. So the banking environment is a very secured environment, unlike an IT sector where you can also work from home or work from different locations, right? So we have made arrangements for, say, our women colleagues to work from branches near to their houses, and they need not come to their office locations at times. There's another thing that we have multiple reasons. It may not be necessarily for the education of the child. It could be for a puja or for some festival, and then they get indebted. So how do you actually overcome the indebtedness? So these kind of education with women. So we are really connected as a bank far more because we have a focused approach, which is responsible banking, and because there are certain targets that we take, which are we call it a H to H strategy. That is a human to human strategy rather than a B2C or a B2B strategy.
Did you find a lot of resistance to setting up a division related to climate change? Did you have a lot of people questioning you internally or from outside asking you why should you be involved in doing something like that?
See, when you start something new, resistance is. We did not want to create a push effect because a push effect doesn't have longevity. We wanted to create a pull effect. If you want to create a pull effect, it is all about what is in it for me. So the minute we started talking to different department heads or business heads, telling them what is in it for you, how does a financial controller look at environment where you're not going to save costs maybe today by investing more in LEDs, but you may be able to save cost over the next 5 years. And he suddenly started seeing those savings and he was converted. So it is all about how do you convert people. How do you actually show them what is in it for them? Why should they engage? So, we as a bank, as a responsible banking ethos, we do not invest in sectors that are, we call it a negative list, right? So we do not invest in certain sectors which have a negative environmental impact.
So what she said just now is so relevant to
I think what she just said right now is so relevant to what I try and do year round, which is highlight the umbilical link between economy and ecology. I think it's baffling that people would wonder why a bank should focus on sustainability. They must. It's a wonderful thing that they do it. And I think the big gap in communication in the last 10 years that has happened is the fact that people do not link progress to health. They do not link economic growth to ecological conservation. And all of that links back to health and therefore links back to well-being and empowerment. So we can't hope to empower our women, we can't hope to make our children's lives better if we get trapped in the race to continue to progress with a very, very limited understanding of how ecology and economy are deeply connected.
When you made the switch to working with the environment,
Yes.
did you, what was the impetus really?
I think it was awareness. I'm a big believer that awareness calls for action and participation, and the only way you can become an active citizen of not just your country but the world is through awareness.
So what was the trigger?
The triggers were many. I was a 1980s kid. I grew up when the alarm bells for climate change had started to ring. I remember in school being inducted into various programs that encouraged us to understand what it means to live sustainably. So waste management was one of the key areas that our school had focused on. So we were taught how to segregate garbage at age 8. We were making compost systems in school. We were doing all kinds of green living and sustainable living projects. And I think what happened was somewhere along the line, I remember my father had made a solar basket. So all the water in the house used to get heated by the solar basket. So when you grow up in an environment that encourages you to understand that your identity is not limited to the geography that you inhabit, but you're a citizen of the planet first, that then, I think, pulls you in directions that you would not ordinarily go towards.
How do you play the balance between film, cinema, and working in the field of films, the world of films, and
I think Gauri, when your life, I think what I have identified is that as a film personality, one of the critical roles that I play every day is that of a communicator. Right? If that is my skill set, and I have the gift to be able to communicate, to be able to speak or articulate, then I must use that to spread awareness. And I think it's a combination of just a growing awareness about what is happening in the world and what we are doing to the world that needs to change,